Hello everybody, it's Von Rich here. Gonna make a video that's been requested of me to make in the past. I thought those records are here, might as well do it. But before I do that, I did make a big mistake in my last video, and I want to correct that, rectify that mistake. And it's heritage. I said they're from Sweden. Actually, they're from Denmark. So, my bad. Well, if you know from the title, I'm going to show my Misfits records. Danzig. Whatever. The first one is Misfits Walk Among Us. This came out in 1982. This is a second press on Plan 9. Or Ruby Records, I guess. I think this came out in 86. It could be 87. I don't know. It was about that time. Fantastic album. It's I think it's in the top of punk rock albums of ever made. The only song that for me doesn't really fit is Mommy, Can I Go Out and Kill Tonight? It's a live version. And quite honestly, that would have fit better on Live Evil, which came out a few years after this one. But yeah, other than that, man, this album flows really great. The good thing is the live track is the last song on side one, so it doesn't, I mean, if it would have been in the middle, and it's not terrible. But yeah, this is a fantastic album. The Misfits they've blown up their popularity. They are way more popular now than they were when they were around. That's for darn sure. But yeah, this is a great album. It's a good jumping on point, and it's punk rock, a little bit of humor, a little bit of horror stuff, but they're catchy tunes. It's like, I mean, it's like Beatles or Beach Boys songs, punk rock songs. I mean, it's not pop punk. That to me is a oxymoron. But yeah, it's 20 Eyes, I Turned Into a Martian, Hall Breaks Loose, Vampira, Nike A Go-Go, and Hate Breeders on side 1. Side 2 is Night of the Living Dead, Skulls, which is one of my favorites by them, actually. A lot of people don't like that song, but that's one of my favorite songs. Violent World, Devil's Whorehouse, Astral Zombies, and Brain Eaters. Yeah, it's a great album all the way through. Their first is what the inner sleeve looks like. Has all the lyrics. And one of these photo collages. And let's see what the label looks like. It's on Slash. Oh, wow. Slash Records. So I know I bought this in the 80s. It says Ruby Records on here. I think Ruby Records and Slash were kind of the same. Now their next album was Earth AD. Came out in 83. I have the German version, which I thought was a way cooler cover. And it's Wolf's Blood is the name of the album. And on the back it's got the Misfits Earth AD artwork in color. This is a lot faster than the other one, which was the direction that punk and and hardcore was going. I mean, by '83, fast music was already a thing, But yeah, fantastic artwork. This is a really great album, also. All good songs. Nothing on it really sucks at all. Some people, this is their favorite. I like it just as much as the first one, Walk Among Us, but since the first one was the first one, that's my favorite. But yeah, great album nonetheless. And this is what that sleeve looks like. Shows other records on this German label, and they've got Black Flag on there. And this is what that label looks like. Aggressive Rock Production is what it's called. And I guess That's quite obvious from the top of this. Now the third record I'm going to show, it came out in '84, and it's a EP. It's an EP, 3-song EP, and it's Die Die My Darling. Came out in '84. I don't know if I mentioned that. Sometimes, when you get old, you forget things, but I forget things in the middle of when I'm saying them. Sometimes. But yeah, Die Die My Darling, song about Marilyn Manson, We Bite, and Mommy Can I Go Out and Kill Tonight Again. And this one's on Plan 9. Bought it when it came out. The next one is a Legacy of Brutality. I think this came out in '85. And this is actually remixes and reworkings of material from 1978. And, Glenn Danzig even re-recorded stuff and added, tracks, guitar tracks. And I don't know what else he did. Nobody really knows. Well, I guess you can if you really compare them. But it's a good album. It's not as good as their first two albums, I don't think. But it's a good album. It's a short album, if I remember right. And it also is on Plan 9 Records, and I also bought this one when it came out. Oh, it's a little different on this side. Yeah. The next one is Static Age, and this is the complete 78 recordings that they made. Danzig owned the rights to a name, and I guess some studio or label wanted that name, so he gave them the rights to that name if they would let him have some recording time in a real studio, and that's what they did. And they recorded these like in midnight onto the early morning hours. I don't know if it was a couple of days. The guy that was doing the engineering and recording, he had no clue what he was listening to. But yeah, great. This is a fantastic, and I highly recommend this one. After Walk Among Us, this is a good one to go to. And the Earth AD. It's got a lot of their really famous songs that were made, like Attitude. And there was another one that Metallica covered. And I don't see it right off the... And their early singles were actually taken from these sessions, like Bullet, and I don't remember. I never did buy any of their 7-inches, regretfully. But yeah, this came out in '87. And this is what the original inner sleeve looks like. And I have it in a polyline, and this is what the label looks like. Pretty plain label. And it looks like it's on Caroline Records. Now this next one, I think it came out in '87 too. I'm pretty sure this one actually came out before the Static Age. But I wanted to show, and I didn't really make that very clear, that I showed these two next to each other because this is like remixes and redoings of songs from these sessions. This one too, I believe, came out in '87. Like I said, I think it did come out before Static Age. And it's Evil Live. This again, I went with the German pressing. I think it looks... I think the album cover is 100 times better, especially with the back, Their artwork and their imaging was fantastic. Way ahead of their time. And again, it's that same label. The same inner sleeve. And this is what the label looks like. And on the back, really cool. That's some cool shit there. Now this next one, it's recordings from 1980, and I believe Caroline Records was going to release this in 1990, and Danzig put the stop on it. He put the brakes on the whole idea. Why, I don't really know. It's fantastic. This says it's on Caroline Records, but I don't know if it's a... I mean, I just bought this maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So I don't know if this is an actual legitimate, they finally released it, or if it's a bootleg. I don't know. It sounds really good, though, so either way. And from these 1980s, like I said, this was 1980 sessions. This was 1978 actual sessions in a studio. And all these songs were recorded before their actual first record was ever released. Like Static Age, there was a couple of singles released from those sessions. There were a couple of singles released from this. The 3 Hits from Hell comes to mind. But yeah, this is really good. And it's got some different versions of songs that, you know, you hear later. And it's kind of cool. And it's also got London Dungeon on it, which is another one of my favorite Misfits songs. And like I said, it's on Caroline Records. And since it's a pretty recent release, they had to put it on color vinyl, you know? Because that's what all the trendy people want. But it sounds good. So I'm fine with the colored vinyl. And I'm a trendy guy. Now these next two are bootlegs. This is a Misfits Hits Passaic, New Jersey. Christmas 1981. If you don't know this song, what the fuck are you doing here? Really dark green and black. It's kind of hard to see maybe on the video. I mean, I can see it, but it's not, the contrasting colors are not that contrasting. It's not a very good recording. I got this from my goth friend Chris back in the day. He didn't like it. I traded I don't know what. He wrote on their side 1 and side 2. Which is fine, and again on colored vinyl, but it is definitely a bootleg, and it's not that great a sounding. And this is my other bootleg of them, Misfits Owl's Bar '82. I bought this I don't know when it first came out. I bought this in the used bins for a few dollars, and the reason I bought it, I knew it wasn't going to be great sounding. Because I was actually at this gig at Owl's Bar in 1982. Owl's Bar was a really small place. It had like the one room where you first walked in. There might have been some booths. There could have been a pool table. Maybe not. And then you had the middle room, which is the size of some of your big living rooms, you know. That's where the band played. Then you had this other little room on the other side. But yeah, it was a really small. They were way too loud for the size of the venue, and it didn't sound very good. Henry Rollins was at the gig. Earl Liberty. And there were some of the other guys, you know. And there's a lot of heckling going on. And you can hear some of it on this. In fact, it was weird. Henry Rollins, man, he was like mad dogging me, you know. And I'm thinking, you know, am I going to have to get into a fight with this guy? You know, this is like the skinny Henry Rollins, you know. He had just come to L.A. He would have got his ass kicked, put it that way. And I think he knew that. I kind of smiled at him and it diffused the whole thing. And this is what those labels look like. Black on black. I'm glad I have it because I was at that gig. 82. I did see the Misfits one other time. And that was at the Santa Monica Civic. They played right before Black Flag did. They were much better at the Santa Monica Civic than they were at Owl's Bar. But I did see Samhain once. I think it was at the Starlight or was it Starwood or Starlight Ballroom? And of the 3 gigs, I think the Samhain gig was probably the best. It was fucking great, dude. This is Samhain's first album. Danzig's, I think Misfits might have broke up in '84. And this is Samhain's first album. And the reason I'm doing this video, or one of the reasons I got the idea, is Chris Profi, the Musically Obsessed, just did a Samhain video. I do have the Samhain box set because it has all their albums, and I don't think all their albums actually came out on vinyl. Here it is, Samhain on the Plan 9 label. Their second record is Unholy Passion. It's more like an EP. It's got 2 songs on one side and 3 on the other, but I'll call it an album. And it also is on the Plan 9, and it's got this cool picture on the backside. But yeah, cool album cover. It's a little bit different than the first one. Well, yeah, it's different than the first one. The third one, and it's probably my favorite of the Samhain albums, same as Chris Profi. It's November Coming Fire, and this is fantastic, dude. To Walk the Night, Let the Day Begin. I mean, it's the Halloween version of Halloween on here is fantastic. And that's what those labels look like. Samhain on Plan 9. And I don't believe the fourth album was ever released on vinyl. I never saw it on vinyl. I saw it on CD. And that's why, one of the reasons I got the box set, because it was in the box set. Plus there was some live shit. Now, Glenn Danzig went on to form the band Danzig. And this is their first album. I bought this the week it came out. And here's a picture of the band. And Rachel, the Music Man. This is Chuck Biscuits right here. The Keith Moon of drumming in punk rock. He was from the Canadian band, as you will know, DOA. He played in Black Flag. In fact, that was probably the best lineup of Black Flag that I ever saw, witnessed. And I've seen a lot of really good concerts, but I would venture to say that was probably the best concert I've ever been to. I mean, I've seen Led Zeppelin twice. I've seen Bowie. We're talking in the 70s. But the intensity of that Black Flag concert with Chuck Biscuits on drums and Dez and Greg on the dual guitars, it was just outrageous. But anyways, that's Chucky. This, quite frankly, is a jumping on point for a lot of people. I mean, Danzig got big. He got radio play. He got MTV play with that Mother, is it? The song? And it's on Deaf American Records, so, you know, it's a bigger label. I don't know how big they actually were. Well, there was more money behind it. This is more heavy metal than than the Misfits or Samhain. The Misfits were, you know, they were punk rock. Samhain was punk rock with a little bit of gothy kind of tinges. This is more of a metal sound, and it was too metal for me. And this was the jumping on point for a lot of people. This was the jumping off point for me with Glenn Danzig. I wish I would have bought... Now, I mean, looking back now, I wish I had their first 4 albums with the original lineup. Those albums all sell for quite a bit. But I've listened to them since, and they're still not... It's just not my thing. But I wish I would have bought them, you know. But anyways, I mean, like I said, this was a jumping on point for a lot of people. It was a jumping off point for me. It doesn't mean I'm right and you're wrong, or you're right and I'm wrong. I mean, it's just our opinions, you know. And I'm not going to ever criticize anybody for who they like, even though Boston sucks, you know. Take care, everybody. Take care.